Why do some people struggle quietly, even when help is right there? And why is refusing help often less about strength and more about emotional safety? Because for many people, asking for help doesn't feel supportive, it feels exposing. Some people almost never ask for help. Not with work, not with emotions, not even when they're overwhelmed. They handle things privately. They downplay stress. They figure things out alone, even when it costs them time, energy, or health. From the outside, they look capable, reliable, strong. But psychology isn't interested in appearances. It's interested in patterns and what those patterns are protecting. And there's one internal reason behind this behavior that most people completely miss. What avoiding help really means. Avoiding help doesn't always mean someone doesn't want support. It often means support feels emotionally complicated. Help introduces vulnerability. It requires being seen mid-process, not polished. It opens space for misunderstanding, judgment, or disappointment. So instead of risking that emotional exposure, some people choose solitude. Not because it's easier, but because it feels safer. Let's clear something up. The myth says people who don't ask for help are proud, stubborn, or arrogant. But psychologically, that explanation is shallow. Many people who avoid asking for help are actually highly self-aware, sensitive, and responsible. They're not avoiding help because they feel superior. They're avoiding it because they've learned that needing others comes with emotional consequences. And one of those consequences starts deep in the nervous system. Nervous system safety. The nervous system constantly asks one question: am I safe right now? For people who avoid asking for help, self-reliance became associated with safety early on. When they depend on themselves, they control the pace, they manage expectations, they reduce emotional unpredictability. Asking for help introduces uncertainty. How will the other person respond? Will they take it seriously? Will they make it worse? If unpredictability once led to stress or rejection, the nervous system learns, do it alone. This is not a personality flaw, it's adaptive regulation. But the nervous system isn't the whole story. Attachment learning. Attachment patterns form based on early experiences with support. If care was inconsistent, dismissive, or conditional, the brain adapts by minimizing dependence, not consciously, but strategically. So instead of thinking, I need help, the mind shifts to, I'll manage. This is especially common in people who were praised for being easy, mature, or low maintenance as children. They learned that independence earned approval, neediness didn't. This doesn't automatically mean someone has an avoidant attachment style. It means their system learned a rule that once protected connection. And there's a quieter belief beneath that rule. Fear of being a burden. Many people who avoid asking for help carry an invisible belief. My needs are too much. They worry about interrupting others, creating inconvenience, owing emotional debt. So instead of asking, they absorb. Psychologically, this is linked to over-responsibility, taking accountability for other people's emotional comfort. Ironically, these individuals are often the first to help others, but they struggle to receive the same care. And this is where self-control turns into self-silencing. Emotional self-containment. Some people learned early that emotions should be managed privately. Crying alone, processing alone, solving alone. Not because emotions were forbidden, but because sharing them felt ineffective. So instead of reaching outward, they turn inward. This creates emotional competence, but also emotional isolation. Over time, asking for help starts to feel unnecessary, then uncomfortable, then threatening. And now comes a driver that sounds logical, but isn't neutral. Control and predictability. The brain loves predictability. Predictability reduces stress hormones and stabilizes emotional expectation. When you rely on yourself, you know what to expect. When you ask for help, you invite variables. Someone might misunderstand, overstep, underdeliver, or attach conditions. So the mind chooses control over relief. This is where dopamine and expectation come in. The brain prefers familiar outcomes even when they're harder. Hypervigilance to judgment.
Some people don't fear rejection, they fear misinterpretation. They've learned to monitor tone, reaction, and facial cues closely. They notice subtle shifts others miss. This hypervigilance makes asking for help exhausting. It's not just the request, it's the emotional labor that follows. So, silence feels lighter. But here's the crucial distinction most people never make. Important clarification. Avoiding help does not automatically mean someone is cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. It means their system optimized for survival in an environment where support felt unreliable or costly. The behavior once made sense. The problem begins when protection becomes identity. Healthy independence versus avoidance. Healthy independence looks like you can ask for help when needed. You trust support exists. Being helped doesn't trigger shame. Independence feels empowering, not lonely. This is autonomy with connection. Avoidance looks like anxiety or guilt when needing help, minimizing your struggles, feeling exposed when supported, equating worth with self-sufficiency. This is protection at the cost of connection. Why avoidance eventually hurts. Humans regulate best in safe connection. When everything is carried alone, stress compounds quietly. Burnout doesn't always come from doing too much. It often comes from doing too much unsupported. Over time, avoiding help can lead to emotional numbness, resentment, or exhaustion, even in highly capable people. What actually helps without forcing vulnerability? The solution isn't suddenly becoming dependent. That can overwhelm the nervous system. The real shift is choice, letting help exist in low-risk ways, receiving without explaining, allowing support without earning it, not proving independence, but loosening the rule that says you must always be strong. People who avoid asking for help aren't weak. They're often incredibly strong, just in ways that cost them connection. Learning to receive doesn't erase resilience, it expands it. So here's something to reflect on. When did asking for help first start to feel unsafe for you? If this helped you understand yourself or someone you love, consider subscribing to support the channel. And share in the comments what makes asking for help difficult for you.